What's going on, guys, and welcome to my Friday Night SmackDown review for February 12th, 2021. I am Graham G.S. Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. If you don't care about Valentine's Day tomorrow, that's perfectly fine, because at least you have Elimination Chamber to look forward to next Sunday. Now, I thought it was on the 28th. So when they were talking about the pay-per-view this past week on Raw and announcing the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match, I'm thinking, okay, they have at least 2 weeks to build to this. I mean, technically they do. Like this week and then next week and then they're good. Or, the week after that. But apparently not. The pay-per-view is next Sunday. So this coming Monday on Raw and then next Friday on SmackDown are the go-home shows for next Sunday's pay-per-view. I feel like we just wrapped up the Royal Rumble. And we did less than 2 weeks ago. That's just way too soon. But it is shaping up to be a very interesting show. The WWE Chamber Championship match, I like the people in there. It should be a good match. I'm interested to see what they'll do. But, from a storyline standpoint, Hardy shouldn't be in there. The Miz shouldn't be in there. And now they're doing another chamber for the men here on SmackDown. Now, usually we get 2 chamber matches a year. There have been years where we've only gotten 1, but that hasn't happened since, I think, 2017 and 2014. Both years we only had 1 chamber match for the WWE Championship. All the other years since 2009, 2008, we've gotten 2 Elimination Chamber matches per show. So that'll once again be the case this year, but for the first time since 2017, we're getting 2 chamber matches, but one of them is not a women's Elimination Chamber, which I thought was interesting. Now, I know they're doing Asuka and Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship. Who gives a fuck? That easily, with the amount of women they have on Raw, instead of putting so much time and effort into that pointless tag team division, they could have put Shayna in there, Charlotte in there, Asuka, Nia Jax, Lana, and Naomi. That is 6 women right there they could have done an Elimination Chamber with. If they wanted one, if they wanted to do one with SmackDown and then one with Raw, fine, then do the WWE Championship one, and then over on SmackDown you could do one either for the SmackDown, I guess probably for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and I guess you could have Sasha retain because she shouldn't be losing. But it could have been Bianca. Maybe not Bianca because she just won the Rumble. Obviously not Bianca, but it could have been Sasha, Bayley, Carmella, and then Ruby and Liv, or Billie Kay and Ruby, or Ruby and Natalya, whatever the fuck. You could have afforded to do 1 men's and 1 women's. So I'm kind of surprised they're not doing that. But the thing here with the Elimination Chamber is that they're doing one for the WWE Championship, but the one on SmackDown is a number 1 contenders match. So Roman Reigns will not be in the chamber. The winner instead will face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship later on in the show, which is interesting. Guaranteeing they'll lose, obviously. I don't see Roman Reigns losing the Universal Championship at least before WrestleMania. But it is interesting. We've never seen that before. So they announced right off the bat that 2 people who will automatically qualify without having to be in qualifiers were Kevin Owens, which, listen, I'm done with the KO Roman Reigns stuff. I would much rather see fresh challengers. From a storyline standpoint, I get it. They shouldn't have done this, but Roman Reigns screwed Kevin Owens out of the Universal Championship 3 different times, at TLC and on SmackDown, and then again at the Royal Rumble. At the Royal Rumble, it should have been a decisive win for Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman should not have gotten involved. Botch or not, Heyman was going to get involved regardless. So they should have just had Roman. They should have just had Roman beat Kevin Owens decisively on that show and then just move the fuck on. Kevin Owens has no reason to be in this match aside from the fact that Heyman interfered and cost him the championship. And I love Kevin Owens, but we know he's not going to win. And if he does, who could possibly care? So at least that made sense. They then announced Jey Uso. Now, I know Adam Pearce did that to drive a wedge between Jey and Roman. I completely understand that's what they're going for here. But again, it's a waste of a spot. It's another guy that we've already seen challenge Roman Reigns for the championship multiple times, and so we know he's not going to win. If he had never faced Roman before, it might be interesting to see Roman and Jey at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, but we've already seen the match twice. And again, both times, at least with those matches and not necessarily with the Owens ones, Roman decisively defeated Jey Uso at both Clash of Champions and at Hell in a Cell. So I just didn't like that Kevin Owens and Jey Uso were announced right off the bat. Specifically Jey. Like, again, I know what they're going for, but I think it's a waste of a spot when there's at least one person who I know would have been a much better fit for this match, and I'll get to them momentarily. But they held qualifiers for the Elimination Chamber match, one of which kicked off the show after that segment between Sami Zayn and King Corbin against Rey and Dominic Mysterio in a tag team match. So both members of the team would have qualified for the Chamber. It was a logical match to do, considering Corbin has been feuding with Rey and Dominic for the past month or two now. It's not a feud I care about. It's not really a feud I've given a shit about, but, it is what it is. So I'm glad that Sami and Corbin went over, and the match was good for what it was. I'm glad the heels won, because Dominic should not be in the Elimination Chamber. It's kind of like a catch-22, because Sami and Corbin are bigger names. I mean, obviously, Rey Mysterio was the biggest of the bunch. But Rey, I don't see him being in that Elimination Chamber for long. I think him and Roman would be fucking awesome if they played it up, well enough. And I feel enough damage has been done to Rey where they would have to build him up before giving him a Universal Championship match, and Dominic is just not ready for that spot. So I am glad Sami and Corbin won, but the problem is, again, we know they're not winning. We know, God forbid if Corbin wins when we get Roman and Baron fucking Corbin again. This time for the Universal Championship, no thanks. No thanks. We've never seen Sami and Roman one-on-one, but we know Sami's not going to win. The guy's not going to win this thing. So again, they're just filler in the match. I know they need to fill it out with heels, but we know they're not going to win. There's zero chance of that happening. So we had an Intercontinental Championship match on the show as well, with an open challenge issued by Big E. It was initially answered by Apollo Crews. And I'm very, very glad that Big E did not express dumb babyface syndrome, as others have said. I think Salamonster coined that term, and I love it a lot, because it's such a real thing on these shows, with any wrestling promotion, but specifically in WWE, where the babyface will be challenged to a match by a heel that doesn't deserve the opportunity. And as soon as they call him a bitch or a coward, they automatically accept the challenge, because they let their emotions get the better of them, and they express, as it's called, dumb babyface syndrome. I'm glad we didn't get that here. Big E instead said, listen, dude, I've beaten you multiple times. I beat you that first match we had a month ago. I pinned you in the triple threat last week on the show. Sami Zayn coming out and saying that he wasn't pinned, I deserve another shot, that at least would make sense. Crews, from a storyline standpoint, does not deserve another match. And I'm very glad they made a point to bring that up and acknowledge that and not give him another opportunity here, because he doesn't deserve another opportunity. Big E's like, listen, I want to be champion for a long time. During this reign, I need fresh challenges. And Apollo Crews tried to tell him, you'd be doing the same thing if you were in my spot, which might be true. But if he says no, he says no. Step aside, dude. On to the next challenger, which I absolutely loved. So instead, we got Big E defending his Intercontinental Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura, a former Intercontinental Champion in his own right. So the thing with this, it was a fun little match while it lasted. It was cool to see Nakamura in there fighting for the Intercontinental Championship. Here's the problem, though. One, we've already seen the Intercontinental Championship with Nakamura. It wasn't a great reign because he never fucking defended the thing. He never had any direction as the Intercontinental Champion back in 2019-2020, right before he lost last January. I don't really want to see the belt back around Shinsuke Nakamura. Been there, done that. But more importantly, though, why the hell wasn't Shinsuke Nakamura in an Elimination Chamber qualifier? I mean, literally, of everyone in that chamber, aside maybe from Owens, Nakamura is the one guy that has legitimately unfinished business with Roman Reigns. From last month when he was in the gauntlet, he was about to win the whole thing before Adam Pearce came out. Roman and Jey attacked Adam, attacked Shinsuke, helped Adam Pearce win so Adam Pearce could get the shot. I mean, obviously he didn't. He gave it up for Owens. But Shinsuke Nakamura even came out the next week as a babyface with the new music. And I know, I've read the reports, that spot in the gauntlet was designed to be for Cesaro before he re-signed. That was before they didn't know, they didn't know if he was leaving or not. So they gave that spot to Nakamura instead, which demonstrates they have no long-term plans for Shinsuke Nakamura. That was pretty evident here, because he wasn't in any of the chamber qualifiers. And he has said before, he has cut promos on his Twitter, and he beat Jey Uso, and he has said in interviews on the WWE website, I want Roman Reigns. So why isn't he, not only is he not in the chamber, which he should be, He's not even in qualifiers for the Elimination Chamber. I mean, how much sense does that make? So, again, this was over very quickly. Apollo Crews interfered, attacked both men. You could have put, unless they design, or unless they're planning to continue the feud between Crews and Big E with Nakamura in the picture, and at this point he kind of has to be, because he was maybe going to win, or he had the championship, taken away from him because of Crews' interference. The guy just keeps getting screwed left and right, which is fine, but I don't want to see Nakamura in the title picture long term. He deserves to be higher up in the card. Capitalize on whatever momentum this guy has right now and put him, at least for one night, whether it be Fastlane or Elimination Chamber, in the Universal Championship picture. And maybe that's what they're building to at Fastlane. They still have one more pay-per-view after Elimination Chamber, which is dumb. There is no reason to have another pay-per-view between Chamber and WrestleMania. I think that is incredibly stupid. But maybe they do Nakamura and Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. So I'll hold out hope. But it is a little weird that he was talking all about Roman Reigns, and now he's just forgotten about him to focus on the Intercontinental Championship. I thought that was a little weird. So, I don't know. But this was fine. I like the Apollo Crews slow burning heel turn. They're doing great stuff with Big E right now. I'm enjoying this. But with Nakamura, though, the guy... You could have... If the match was going to end in a DQ, you could have put any scrub in the spot. Whether it be a Kalisto or, honestly, an Aleister Black. But apparently they have big plans for Aleister Black. Do you? Really? I mean, the guy's been gone now for 4 or 5 months. You don't have fucking plans for this guy. If you did, you would have brought him back 2 or 3 months ago. It's February. The guy is sitting at home doing absolutely nothing right now. It's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. So, anyway, you could have put even fucking Otis in this spot. You could have put Otis in here, and it would have been okay. Even Chad Gable would make more sense, because they're not pushing the guy right now. So put him in this spot. He loses to Big E, and then you have Apollo interfere. So, whatever. But we did have the return of Seth Rollins on this show for the first time since before Survivor Series, or first time seeing him on SmackDown in a little over 2 months. So we came out to the old Burn It Down theme song, which I thought was interesting. And obviously they gave him the Thunderdome babyface reaction. The entire SmackDown roster was there around ringside. Why, I don't know. And he was saying a lot of the same shit that Roman Reigns does about, oh, SmackDown is my show. And then you literally had Bayley come out in the next segment after this saying SmackDown is her show. I think we need to sit Bayley, Rollins, and Roman Reigns down at one table and put Roman to the head of the table and figure out who the actual face of SmackDown is. Because I feel like every heel on the show says they are SmackDown. They're not. Either it's one person or none of them. If anything, I would say it's Roman Reigns. Bayley and Rollins, not so much. They do great work. They are great heels. But they got to figure this out. They're giving all the heels all the same material. And it's annoying. But anyway, so Rollins came out to the old Burn It Down theme song, had the fire come up with his pyro. It is, in my opinion, a better theme than the one he debuted last year. But the other theme was perfect for the Messiah gimmick. If he's not going back babyface right now, which it doesn't sound like he is, and it obviously didn't look like it either based off what happened, I wouldn't go back to the Burn It Down theme song. Maybe Vince just didn't like the Messiah song. I don't know. I know that's happened before. The whole Burn It Down thing was because of Vince McMahon. He thought the pause where the Burn It Down was annoying to him, even though he had it for years before he finally did he had that theme song for like 3 years on his own before they inserted the Burn It Down in the middle of it. I don't fucking know. But they brought back the theme here. He's not a babyface. Maybe he goes back to using the Messiah stuff, the Messiah song next week, because he's still the Messiah technically. But he switched up the look a little bit. He said, embrace the vision. That's his new catchphrase. He tweeted it out. It's on his Titantron. He used it in his promo. So that's the new thing they're pushing right now. He did mention being the greater good. So he's still doing the Messiah stuff. Probably with a bit of a tweak. Because from what I could tell, a lot of people did not like the Messiah character. I enjoyed it. I think it was a clever direction to go in after what he was like bragging and boasting about 2 years ago and being the leader of the WWE and all this other shit. Like this delusional character. I thought it was perfect for what he was going for in late 2019. I enjoy the character. I love heel Seth Rollins. And he honestly might be. He obviously is a better heel than he is a babyface. And he is a great babyface too. He was a white-hot babyface in 2018, 2019. and whatnot. But the thing with Rollins as a babyface is that he's just not ready to go back to that quite yet. So I wouldn't turn him back heel. They already turned Nakamura and probably Cesaro, so you can't turn Rollins back, too just yet. But anyway, so as soon as he healed it up in his promo, and I'm not even really sure why the roster was out there to begin with. They never established why. I know he was returning, but people return every week. So it's not like he was retiring or whatever. It's not like he won a championship. It was just completely random for the entire roster to be out there, aside from the visual of the entire roster walking away when he healed it up in his promo. So I thought that was stupid. But it did lead to Cesaro being the final one, and Cesaro being the last one to walk off. Rollins got pissed, left the ring, and attacked Cesaro, which I think is cool. So Bryan made the save, and where I think this is going is this. One, I thought this would disqualify Cesaro from being in the main event qualifier later on in the show, and that they would take him out, replace him with Rollins. I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm very glad they didn't do that. But where I think this is going is this. I don't think they're planning for a long-term Rollins-Cesaro feud going into WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan made the save for Cesaro here, because after their match last week when Cesaro tapped out Bryan, Bryan gave him the kind of the fist bump. So I think that was the face turn for Cesaro, which is awesome. So Bryan made the save for Cesaro here and fended off Rollins. Where I think this is going is that coming out of Elimination Chamber, we will get... Cesaro could very well win the Chamber, which I really hope he does, and we get Cesaro and Roman on that show. That would be fucking sexy. He doesn't have to win. He won't win, obviously. But him just going in there with Roman for a great match could be a lot of fun. So anyway, I think we'll get Rollins and Cesaro at the Fastlane pay-per-view, and then that'll bridge the gap for Bryan and Rollins at WrestleMania. That's where I think this is going. And I think that's great. I think a Rollins-Cesaro match, they've had a lot of matches before in WWE. They've always worked well together. And then Rollins and Bryan could also be a lot of fun. So I'm all for that personally. Bayley faced and beat Liv Morgan. It's a match that Bayley has wanted. She's wanted forever now. She finally got it here. It wasn't anything notable. It was really just a backdrop for the Billie Kay stuff again. So what happened here was that Billie Kay was at ringside. She brought the headshots. Ruby Riott took the headshots and threw them in the ring. So because the referee was picking the headshots in the ring, Bayley was able to cheat to beat Liv Morgan when the referee wasn't looking. So really this was Ruby Riott's fault. Because she was the one, they're Billie Kay's headshots, but it was Ruby who threw them into the ring. And I thought it was a stupid thing, but they also acknowledged that in like a post-SmackDown WWE.com exclusive also on the YouTube channel. So clearly that was the idea. I don't know if they're teasing tension within the Riot Squad. It's way too soon to be doing that. They just reunited last summer. That could be what they're going for. I don't know. But yeah, this was what it was. I like that they have feuds outside of the championship picture. I think that's cool. But just, I don't really care. Like, Bayley's winning, which is great. With the Riot Squad, though, and Billie Kay, where is this going? Are they going to be friends? I don't know. I don't really care, so this was whatever. We did have the Street Profits versus Chad Gable and Otis. Again, a fun little match, but who cares? I think the story is that the Profits don't deserve a title shot according to Rude and Ziggler. So they're trying to work their way back up, win more matches. They did beat Gable and Otis here. Again, it was a nice little match. We are probably going to get Rude and Ziggler versus the Profits again at some point. But this tag team division is so fucking dead. They just got rid of Wesley Blake. So the Cutler-Blake tag team is no more. They have the Mysterios, but they just lost on the show. They have the Usos, who aren't back yet, though that is an idea. They need more teams, really, is the bottom line. So I'm sure they will do Rude and Ziggler versus the Profits, probably at Elimination Chamber. I think that's perfect. You can have Rude and Ziggler win, and then do maybe Rude and Ziggler versus the Mysterios at WrestleMania. Maybe it's a four-way with the Profits and the Usos. If they're back by then, I'm not sure. But this was fine for what it was, though I think the idea was that the Profits have to earn their way back to the title picture. Again, it's hard to care. The feud's gone on for so long, who cares? But, it is what it is. We then had Sasha Banks out there. Sasha Banks made her entrance while Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins were making their way to the back. So she danced with them for a little bit before she came out to do her promo. She was dancing with Bianca Belair's husband, Bianca, unless I missed something, did not mention that when she interrupted Sasha Banks, which I thought was weird. They go back and forth, and out come Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I'm wondering, why the fuck is Nia Jax on SmackDown? And then I realized it's because they're the women's tag team champions. I legitimately forgot. So they had Bianca and Sasha replay the footage of the whole My Whole thing from Raw, which I don't find funny. I thought it was incredibly stupid, if anything. Didn't even get a chuckle out of me. People are running with it like the meme of the year. I just think it's dumb. They brought that back up. They humiliated Nia Jax and Shayna, leaving them laying, fending them off from the ring. So this is clearly headed to a tag team match, probably at the next pay-per-view or something along those lines. Maybe, you know what? Maybe this is leading to, I was going to say, maybe not, because Sasha has to defend her championship, but maybe not. Maybe this is leading to Sasha and Bianca versus Nia and Shayna at Elimination Chamber. And if so, that makes sense. You know, it could be for the tag titles, and then the heels win, and then that kind of paves the way for Sasha and Bianca at WrestleMania. It has to be Bianca and Sasha. I don't want to see Bianca and Asuka, even Bianca and Io. It's got to be Bianca and Sasha. That's the only match that makes sense. We get to the main event on the show, Daniel Bryan and Cesaro beating the SmackDown Tag Team Champions Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode to qualify for the Universal Championship #1 Contenders Elimination Chamber match. You had to know that Bryan and Cesaro were winning here. Roode and Ziggler were not going to be inside the chamber, especially when we already had Corbin and Zayn qualify earlier in the evening. But, this was a good match, an enjoyable main event. Bryan and Cesaro were fun partners. Cesaro picked up the win, I believe. And, I'm glad they're in the chamber. And then you just had complete chaos get unleashed here. Jey Uso blasted Cesaro with a chair shot. Bryan, I think, went after Jey Uso. Kevin Owens came out, laid out Jey Uso with a stunner. Corbin and Zayn were out there, too. And we're going to see Owens and Zayn back in the chamber together, which is cool. I think it'd be very cool to see them start off the match. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But anyway, this was a good match. Now we know who's in the chamber officially. Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro. So it sounds like a great chamber, but really, Cesaro is the only one that makes sense. You could do Daniel Bryan, but that match deserves more of a build. I don't think you should be throwing that out there as like an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view match. I don't think they should do that. They should save that until after WrestleMania. Cesaro is perfect because you don't need a lot of build. It doesn't have to be a full-fledged feud. It would be cool if it was, but it doesn't need to be. And then after Roman beats Cesaro, that can kind of segue into Nakamura and Roman at the Fastlane pay-per-view, as I said earlier. So Bryan would be cool, but again, I would save that for down the road. Corbin, absolutely not. Sami, no thanks. Owens again, no. And Jey Uso, not again. So it really has to be Cesaro. Cesaro or bust when it comes to this Elimination Chamber match. Again, it could be Bryan, and that's fine, but I think Cesaro just makes way more sense. This was a quality episode of SmackDown with the Chamber qualifiers, Sasha and Bianca doing their thing. Bayley and Liv and the Profits and Gable and Otis was the usual filler. But we did have the return of Seth Rollins, kicking off a mini feud, I would assume, between him and Cesaro, which is cool. The Intercontinental Championship picture continues to be a lot of fun. And Roman Reigns is great, and we had him to kick off the show. So, another top-tier edition of SmackDown. Far from amazing, but much more bearable than Raw. And there's more stuff I care about on SmackDown than Raw. So I enjoyed this show, and I think it was a cool way to kind of set the stage for what we're bound to see at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view next weekend. Thank you guys, as always, for checking out these reviews. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the review, or like the video, rather. Drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. We have daily videos going up every single day. We have daily videos going up every day, obviously. And then all my other SmackDown audio reviews are in the description box down below. And check out my Talking Smack video going up shortly. I was hoping to get this up before I left in the afternoon. I don't think I will. I got to get going really, really soon. So, this will probably be up late tonight. I apologize for that. We'll get it up earlier next week. Until then, guys, have an awesome one. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.